You spent hours choosing a handgun powerful enough for bear country. But when an animal weighing hundreds of pounds charges from the trees, the numbers printed on an ammunition box may suddenly mean nothing. A .44 Magnum can deliver enormous power, but what happens if the recoil slows your second shot? What happens when 6 rounds are all you have? And what happens when the threat appears at dusk, when every shadow looks dangerous and you cannot clearly see what is moving near your camp? In a real emergency, power alone is not enough. Control, capacity, visibility, and the ability to place fast, accurate follow-up shots may matter even more. Today, we are not simply searching for the most powerful caliber, we are searching for the handgun system that gives you the best practical chance of surviving. And the final answer may completely change how you think about bullet size. Imagine you are hiking back to camp as daylight begins to disappear. Your backpack is heavy, the trail is narrow, and every step feels slower than it did that morning. Then a loud crack comes from the trees beside you. Something large is moving just beyond the trail. It could be a bear, a moose, or another animal capable of causing serious harm. You may have only seconds to identify the threat and react. In that moment, your choice must work under stress, poor visibility, limited movement, and the need for fast follow-up shots. It must also be comfortable enough to carry all day. Under those conditions, the largest bullet is not always the most useful one. Now it is time to introduce the 5 contenders: .45 ACP, .357 Magnum, 10mm auto, and .44 Magnum. To compare them fairly, we will judge each caliber in 4 categories. First is penetration, or how well the bullet continues through thick tissue and hard structures. Second is control, meaning how quickly the shooter can recover and place another accurate shot. Third is capacity, because more ammunition means more opportunities before reloading. Finally, we will consider real-world practicality, including firearm weight, ease of carrying, and the ability to mount a light. One caliber may win in power but lose in control. Another may hold more rounds but offer less performance. The true winner must survive somewhere between those 2 extremes. For now, the final score remains hidden. The .44 Magnum enters this comparison as the obvious king of power. Its size, reputation, and raw energy make it look like the natural winner before the test even begins. When fired, it delivers the kind of force most people expect from a serious wilderness handgun, but that power comes with a price. Heavy recoil, sharp muzzle rise, and intense blast can slow the shooter down, especially when stress is already at its highest. The real question is not how powerful the first shot feels. It is how quickly you can recover, find the target again, and place the second shot accurately. Most .44 Magnum revolvers also give you only about 6 rounds before reloading becomes necessary. That means every missed or poorly placed shot matters. The original shooter eventually moved to .357 Magnum because it was easier for him to control. So, is giving up some power for faster, more accurate follow-up shots really a downgrade, or is it the smarter trade? If the .44 Magnum sits at one extreme of this comparison, the 9mm begins at the other. It offers higher capacity, moderate recoil, widely available ammunition, and a platform that many shooters already know well. For everyday use, those advantages are difficult to ignore. A shooter who is comfortable with 9mm may be able to fire quickly, recover faster, and place accurate follow-up shots under pressure. But wilderness defense demands more than speed alone. The reference load in the original comparison produced about 395 foot-pounds of energy, leaving it well behind the more powerful cartridges in this lineup. The important question is what remains after the bullet encounters thick hide, heavy muscle, and hard structures. Easy to shoot does not automatically mean suitable for every threat. The 9mm is not useless, and familiarity still matters, but it enters this contest with a serious performance disadvantage. The next contender is larger, heavier, and far more intimidating, but size may not solve the problem. Next comes the .45 ACP, a cartridge that looks impressive before a single shot is fired. Place it beside a 10mm, and the wider bullet immediately draws attention. It is large, heavy, and supported by more than a century of reputation. For many shooters, that alone creates the impression that it must hit harder and penetrate deeper than a smaller cartridge. But wilderness performance cannot be judged by bullet diameter alone. The plus P load used in the original comparison produced approximately 485 foot-pounds of energy at about 925 feet per second. That is more energy than the reference 9mm load, but its velocity remains significantly lower than the stronger cartridges still waiting in this comparison. When a bullet must travel through thick hide, heavy muscle, and hard structures, its construction, velocity, and ability to maintain forward movement all become important. This does not make the .45 ACP ineffective. Its larger bullet and manageable shooting characteristics still give it real advantages. However, a wide projectile does not automatically guarantee the deepest penetration. Bigger does not always mean deeper. At this point, two of the most common defensive calibers are beginning to fall behind. The real contest is now narrowing toward three much more powerful contenders: 357 Magnum and .44 Magnum. With the two most common defensive calibers falling behind, the .357 Magnum now moves into the spotlight. This cartridge does something the .44 Magnum struggles to achieve for many shooters. It delivers serious power while remaining noticeably easier to control. The recoil is still demanding, but it is often more manageable, allowing the shooter to recover faster and place a more accurate follow-up shot. That balance immediately pushes the .357 Magnum near the top of our scoreboard. It offers significantly more performance than the 9mm and .45 ACP loads in this comparison, while avoiding some of the extreme recoil associated with the .44 Magnum. For a moment, it looks like the perfect wilderness compromise. Then we look at the cylinder. Depending on the revolver, the shooter may have only 6, 7, or 8 rounds before a reload becomes necessary. In a calm environment, a speed loader can make that process relatively efficient. Under stress, in poor light, with cold or shaking hands, the same reload can feel much slower. So the .37 Magnum takes the temporary lead in power and control, but its capacity score begins flashing red. And that creates the most important question so far. If another caliber can deliver nearly the same performance while carrying almost twice as many rounds, can the .357 Magnum remain in first place? And this is where the 10mm auto enters the competition and changes the entire argument. It is not the largest cartridge on the table, and it does not produce the highest energy figure in every comparison. Its advantage comes from combining two qualities that are rarely found together: serious ballistic performance and the capacity of a semi-automatic handgun. Consider the two firearms used in the original comparison. The Smith & Wesson 686 carries 6 rounds of .357 Magnum. The Glock 20 carries 15 rounds in the magazine, plus 1 in the chamber, giving the shooter 16 rounds before a reload becomes necessary. 6 versus 16, that difference fills the screen because it cannot be ignored. The Glock 20 provides 10 additional opportunities without stopping to reload. In a fast and unpredictable emergency, that can mean more chances to correct a missed shot, respond to changing movement, or deal with more than one immediate danger. The semi-automatic platform may also allow faster follow-up shots for a trained shooter, although control still depends on the individual, the firearm, and the ammunition being used. For the first time, 357 Magnum's position at the top begins to look uncertain, but capacity alone cannot crown a winner. Those 16 rounds only matter if the 10mm can come close enough to the .357 Magnum in velocity, energy, and penetration. That direct comparison comes next. Now the two leading contenders face each other directly, 10mm auto versus .357 Magnum. In the specific loads selected for this comparison, the .357 Magnum reaches approximately 400 feet per second and produces about 784 foot-pounds of energy. The 10mm load reaches roughly 1,200 feet per second and produces around 704 foot-pounds. These numbers do not represent every 10mm or .357 Magnum load. Barrel length, bullet weight, construction, and ammunition design can all change the result, but in this comparison, 357 Magnum still holds the advantage in velocity and energy. The surprise is how small that advantage becomes when capacity enters the equation. 357 revolver offers 6 rounds in this example, while the Glock 20 offers 16. That is a difference of only 80 foot-pounds, but 10 additional rounds before reloading. Suddenly, the contest is no longer about which cartridge produces the larger number. It becomes a question of overall capability. And one factor may matter even more than the caliber name itself. But here is the twist that changes the entire comparison. You can choose the right caliber and still load it with the wrong bullet. A hollow point designed for ordinary defensive use is built to expand quickly, create a wider wound channel, and transfer energy early. In a wilderness scenario, that same expansion may reduce the deep penetration needed to continue through thick tissue and hard structures. A flat-nose, hard-cast bullet is designed for a different job. Instead of opening rapidly, it is intended to maintain its shape, drive forward, and penetrate more consistently. That means bullet construction, bullet weight, and the specific ammunition load can matter just as much as the caliber stamped on the case. 2 rounds with the same caliber name may behave very differently after impact. One may expand and stop sooner, the other may continue much deeper. Same caliber, different job. So before we declare a winner, we need to look beyond velocity and energy, because the ammunition itself may decide whether a powerful handgun performs as expected. The penetration data makes the 10mm hard-cast load look impressive, but it must be interpreted carefully. In 2 separate water jug tests, the 220-grain flat-nose bullet reportedly passed through more than 13 and 14 jugs. In another test, it traveled more than 40 inches through ballistic gel. Across 15 recorded shots, the average velocity was approximately 1,188 feet per second, very close to the advertised 200 feet per second. However, these results do not come from one standardized laboratory procedure. Barrel lengths, distances, temperatures, and test materials may all have been different, so this is not absolute proof of identical performance in every situation. What it does reveal is a consistent trend. This specific 10mm hard-cast load was built for deep penetration, and the available test results support that purpose. But are you really choosing a cartridge, or are you choosing a complete system? A powerful bullet cannot identify what is moving beyond the edge of your campsite. A lightweight handgun offers little advantage if you cannot control it, and high capacity means nothing if the firearm does not function reliably with the ammunition you selected. The complete system includes the handgun, the load, capacity, reliability, recoil control, holster, lighting, and the shooter's training. This is where a semi-automatic 10mm gains another practical advantage. It can carry more ammunition and easily accept a weapon-mounted light, helping the user identify a potential threat at dawn, dusk, or night before making a critical decision. Now, it is time to reveal the final ranking. This list reflects the specific loads, firearms, and practical criteria used in this comparison, not every possible wilderness situation. In fifth place is the 9mm. It is controllable, common, and offers excellent capacity, but the reference load falls behind the stronger cartridges in performance. Fourth place goes to .45 ACP. Its large bullet and manageable recoil are valuable, but its lower velocity does not create enough advantage here. In third place is .44 Magnum. It delivers tremendous power, but heavy recoil and limited capacity make it difficult for many shooters to use efficiently. Second place goes to .357 Magnum, offering excellent power with better control, but still limited by revolver capacity. First place is 10mm Auto. It does not lead every category, but it offers the strongest overall balance of performance, capacity, follow-up shots, semi-automatic operation, and accessory compatibility. In this comparison, the winner is not the most powerful cartridge. It is the most complete system. After all the numbers, the winner is not the cartridge that produces the single most powerful shot. It is the cartridge that creates the best overall system for the person carrying it. The .44 Magnum may deliver more raw power, and the .357 Magnum may produce more energy with the specific load used in this comparison. But the 10mm comes surprisingly close while offering far more ammunition before a reload becomes necessary. That balance is something a simple ballistic chart cannot fully explain. In the wilderness, you are not carrying a velocity number or an energy figure. You are carrying a handgun that must remain controllable, reliable, and effective when the situation becomes fast, dark, and terrifying. No caliber can turn a dangerous encounter into a safe one. A handgun should be treated as a last line of defense, not the first part of the plan. Avoiding an encounter is always better than being forced to react to one. Before entering bear country, learn the local laws, understand the animals in that area, and follow proper food storage and campsite practices. Pay attention to tracks, fresh signs, visibility, and escape routes. Carry the defensive tools that are legal and appropriate for the location, and know how to use them correctly. Most importantly, remember that equipment cannot replace awareness, judgment, or training. Buying a more powerful caliber does not automatically make you safer. Distance, preparation, and the decision to avoid unnecessary confrontation will usually matter more than any number printed on an ammunition box. So, what is the best caliber for bear country? If raw power is your only priority, the .44 Magnum remains difficult to ignore. If you want a powerful revolver that may be easier to control, the .357 Magnum is still a serious option. But when performance, capacity, follow-up shots, and practical handgun design are considered together, the 10mm Auto becomes the most convincing choice in this comparison, because in the wilderness, the best caliber is not the one that makes you feel strongest at the gun counter. It is the one inside a system you can carry comfortably, control accurately, and operate reliably when everything suddenly goes wrong. Now, the decision is yours. If you could take only one of these 5 calibers on your next wilderness trip, which one would you choose, and what specific load would you carry? Leave your answer below, because the caliber name is only half the story. And if this video gets enough support, the next comparison will leave the charts behind and test popular wilderness loads under the same penetration conditions.